How's it going, everyone? So today I'm going to teach you how to make my footprints on the beach tumbler. This I posted a few days ago on a couple of websites, or I guess Facebook pages, and people really seem to love this, so I figured I'd make a tutorial for you guys. I'll post a picture so you can actually see what it looks like. Sometimes these videos are hard to see, but we have lots of colors going on, some alcohol inks for the waves, and then we have cute little footprints, some seashells, and some starfish going up the front side. So this is a 32-ounce slim. I'm going to use a 24-ounce cup today. This is a customer order, so I figured I'll start a tutorial with this one so we can watch the process. So before we glittered anything, I went ahead and I prepped it and I spray painted the colors that I wanted. So I used an iron lac, which was an acrylic spray paint that I get from Hobby Lobby. So that was the gold part. And then from lightest to dark, I'm going to go through and show you which ones I used. So this one was aqua. It's a light blue. Then I went in with seaside. And these are all Rust-Oleum 2-time. Then I went in with oasis blue. And finished off with lagoon. So this is like a dark teal color. And so you can see kind of just ombres in. And I did that combination on either side of the gold, so it met in the middle with the lagoon in the back. So that gave us a little bit of a background there to put our glitters. So the next step we're going to do is pick out the glitters. You don't have to use these ones, however, I really love peachy olive glitter, so I chose all peachy olive glitter for this cup. And we'll tell you the colors that I chose. So we have Athena for the sand. It's a very beautiful gold. It's a mini chunky. If you've never purchased that, this would be the one that I recommend 100% for any gold that you're looking for. It has these really pretty opal pieces into it too, so when you hit it with like sunlight, it's like every color, but it's also really pretty, nice gold color as well. So that's going to be the sand. And then I'm using Kaneohe. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's a chunky blue, really pretty light blue. And then I have Mojito, which is also like a light bluish greenish color. And so this is chunky as well. Oops, almost put that into my cup of resin there. And then I have Bejeweled, which is like a light blue. It's more of a fine color. And then I have a couple other ones that I'm going to mix together. So this one is Parrot Head. This was a Peachy palette one, so I don't think it's on the website yet. And then we have Turks. And I also chose St. Lucia. What you'll see from this cup is that we have a lot of different colors, but also a lot of different shapes, because it's going to give a lot of depth to the cup. So this is a chunky, but it's also a square cut. I don't know if you guys can see that, but each of these little pieces are squares. It's the same color as Turks, but it's just bigger. So I'm going to use that. And then this was also from the Peachy palette. And then I'm going to use Monstrosity, which is also a Peachy palette. This is like a dark teal, and that's going to go over where the lagoon section was on the darkest part of the spray paint. So those are the colors I chose, and I'm going to go over lightly at first, and then we'll layer them as we go. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm sure, and I promise you that it's going to look beautiful. So I already mixed some epoxy. So, and of course I always mix too much, which makes me mad because I don't have anything to use on it yet, but that's okay. So, you're going to put a really, really thin coat of epoxy on your cup. And this is just enough to get the glitter to stick, but you don't want too much because then the glitter is going to start sliding, and you don't want that to happen. So, just make sure that you have enough to coat your cup, and then that's about it. So I'm going to go through really quickly and do that. A little bit more there. I find that using epoxy method for this kind of cup is the best because one, it stays wet the entire time you are working with it, so it makes it easier to layer colors. And then also you can pat it down. I don't know, I just feel like it blends a little bit better than if you use glue or Mod Podge. Mod Podge, I could never get the colors to look really beautifully blended. I do use Mod Podge a lot though. Like if I have like a one color cup, I will use Mod Podge. But if I have a cup that has a bunch of different colors, I'm not going to use Mod Podge. So this one, as you can see, has like 7 or 8 different colors. So obviously Mod Podge would not be the one that I would choose for that. Okay, so I just got that finished there. I don't want, probably shouldn't waste a glove on that, but that's okay. All right, so we have our epoxy here. I'm gonna let it kind of thin out for a second. So let's just get everything set up. I wish I had like a little stand for this, but that's okay. So first I'm going to start with Athena. That's going to be the sand, like I said. We are going to go in pretty lightly at first with all of the colors. That will allow us the ability to go back in and layer so that, first of all, everything blends nicely together, but also, so if we like need to go fix something, we can. Sometimes, you know, you're a little heavy-handed. I do it all the time. So if that happens, what I'll just do is let this dry, and then I'll go in with like Loctite spray on areas that I would like to change, and then I'll just sprinkle a little bit over. But typically after I'm done glittering this, I will let this dry for, you know, 8 or so hours, and then I'll stick it on the turner and put some epoxy over top of it. So here we go. So this is, again, Athena. So we're going to take it and let me tilt this down a little bit. So guys, very, very lightly. So I like to hold the glitter away from the cup because it doesn't all fall really heavily. I also don't want it to be like a really harsh line. You want it to be a little bit movable. Movable? That's not what I was looking for. Okay. So here's what it looks like so far. Now it has nice coverage already, but remember, if I touched this, it would still be very wet, and that's a good thing because that means that I can go in after I've layered my other ones. So I'm going to close that up because I know that if I don't, I'll spill it and I'll be really upset. So next I'm going to come in with Kaneohe and Mojito, which are the two chunky light colors, light bluish greens. And I'm going to go right on the edge of Athena, slightly overlapping where I put Athena. Same thing, I'm going to hold the bottle pretty high. Gosh, you can't see that, sorry. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to hold the bottle pretty high so that it does not become too thick. And this part here will be covered by the waves with the alcohol inks. So if you can't get a perfect gradient, that's okay. But we want to try and get all of this to look like it's supposed to be there because you will see it still, even through the waves, because I'm not going to put a whole bunch of waves. And I will show you how to do that at some point too. That'll probably be part 2 once we get this first layer gone. Okay, so here's what it looks like. That was Mojito. And that was more of like the teal-y colored one, because teal kind of is closer to green, which is closer to yellow, which gives me like a little bit of a gold. And I think that that's going to blend in better with Athena rather than if I just went in with the blue. Okay, so now we're going to go in with Kaneohe. Let me pull up my sleeves again. And same place. I'm not going to add too much more. So I'm going to go over exactly where we just came from. Not so much into Athena this time, so I guess we will add just a slight little bit more over top of the epoxy where I haven't put glitter yet, but not too much. Okay. Whoops, that was a little heavy. So if that happens, just raise your hand a little bit higher so that when it falls, it's not all going to fall in one spot. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Really, really pretty colors. All right. I'm going to go in now with Bejeweled. That's my light blue. Well, it's more of like it's like a blue, like a really pretty blue. This is going to be in between where I just put Kaneohe, and then the newer section here of epoxy that I have not touched yet. You want to have a gradient in between, so you want to see a little bit of chunky in between that part of the Bejeweled section, but you also want it to start also being its own little section. So again, same thing, pretty lightly going across here, and I am going too heavy here, so I need to relax a little bit. All right. Here's what it looks like so far. All right, so this next part, I'm going to be using 4 different glitters in this small little area here. So it's going to be really important that you are light-handed here because you're going to want to layer a lot. I'm going to go in with Andrews first, which was, or not Andrews, sorry, Parrot Head. Andrews was from the same palette. This is like a cerulean blue. If you guys remember those crayons, there's always like that one really gorgeous blue color. When I was younger, I would always want that one. Like that would be the color that I would choose because it was like literally my favorite. So really lightly because it doesn't quite fit with the Bejeweled section, but I'm going to layer over top so it doesn't look too dark. And we're just going to go really lightly over top. Again, this is Parrot Head. Very lightly. You know when you're looking at like an ocean and it's like light water, and all of a sudden it's like dark blue because it's like got really deep all of a sudden? That's kind of what we're going to look at when we see this part here. So this is just a really thin layer. I don't want too much because again, I want it to blend in as much as possible. And I don't want it to just look like I just added a chunk. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Still have a lot of area that I have not added color to. We're gonna go back in now with Saint Lucia. So that's the chunky square cut, which is a really cool new cut from Peachy Olive. So if you haven't tried one, there's a lot that are available, even though St. Lucia's not right now. There's a lot of square cuts on the website that you can play around with. So I'm going to go on either side here. Now I'm going to go a little bit heavier, but not too much. So every little piece here that it doesn't fill in, I'm going to go back over with Turks because it's the same color so that I can get more of like an even distribution of this color. Same thing, flip it over, do that again where Parrot Head is, and add this section. I don't want too much monstrosity because that's pretty dark, so I'm only going to leave a pretty small section in between. So, alright, so that's St. Lucia. And then I'm going to go back in with Turks over the exact same spot to cover in any place that I may have missed. Okay, sorry, here's what it looks like. Alright, same spot, going in. Now Turks, when I opened this, so like I ordered this a while ago, but I wasn't expecting it to be the color that it was, because on the website it's a little bit deceiving. I always notice too that like when you take pictures of teal colors, they never end up looking like what they look like in person. And it's so frustrating. So this is like literally the most beautiful teal color I've ever seen. I actually had to make myself like my own personal cup using it because it was just like I couldn't get over how pretty it was. So if you haven't bought Turks yet, definitely do that. You'll love it. Okay, Monstrosity. So that's that dark teal. And I'm going to go straight down the center to the area that I haven't really touched yet. Now, if you wanted to, instead of doing more like teals, you could do more blues if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be teal. I just think that it looked really beautiful the way that I wanted it. So, I was kind of thinking of like the waters in like the Bahamas or something. It's like blue, tealy colored water, and that's what I was going for. All right. So this is what it looks like so far. Now right there you can see that the line is pretty harsh. So I'm actually going to go back in. I think I'm going to do Bejeweled there because that was where Andrew's Bejeweled and Kaneohe was. So hopefully I didn't go too heavy the first time and that there's still some epoxy left for me to cover. Yep, that worked. Perfect. Okay, so do you see how that changed a little bit? I think I'm going to do just a little bit on this side too. It's not quite as bad over here. And again, that's the area where the waves are going to be, so I'm not that concerned about it. But I still want to make sure, whoops, that I cover everything. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Athena section, and I'm going to go really, really carefully back over with Mojito, just a little bit further in. And then after that, I'm going to finish it off with Athena again, and then we should be good. So then I'll just let that dry for like 8 hours. So this is what we'll do here. I'll show you the finished product, and then I hope you guys will try this. It was a lot of fun. I originally started this as a gypsy leopard, and then I kind of was like seeing like beachy vibes, and I made a beach tumbler like a really long time ago, but I really haven't revisited it since. And so I was like, well, you know, it's gonna be spring, or it is spring, and it's gonna be summer, why not make a beach tumbler? And then I wanted to do something different, so I put the little footprints, which I'll show you guys in part 2. All right, so again, coming in with Athena and just going over that section again, that middle section, a little bit heavier this time so that it can pick up some more glitter. All right, so, oh, whoops, forgot the bottom. I think I'm gonna do Turks at the bottom, which is that pretty teal color. That's the one I'm gonna choose for the bottom. So once this dries a little bit, not too much, guys, I'm going to go in with like a piece of parchment paper and just flatten it down, because there are a couple pieces that are sticking up, which you know that if you let that happen and then you put epoxy over it, it will take like 10 coats to cover, and I don't have time for that. So, all right, and that's the bottom, although it's a 24 ounce, so technically this will be covered by that black. I use Hog 24 ounce tumblers. I don't know what you guys prefer. I use Microflow and Hog, but Hog has these tumblers, which I really like, so that's why I go there. Okay, so here is the finished part 1. Check that out. Super pretty. Hopefully that helped you guys. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just started it, so if you liked it, if this was helpful for you, comment, share it, do whatever. Let me know if you have anything that I could do better. As again, I said, this is only my second tutorial, so I have a lot to learn. But I hope you guys like this, and I'll come back for part 2 whenever I get some epoxy on this.